The heart of an island, encircled by the endless salty seas, stood a towering rock, a silent sentinel that the people of Éadrainn believed was their lifeblood. From its base, crystal-clear water flowed, defying the barrenness of the land. The villagers revered this miraculous stream, believing it to be a divine blessing. Yet this blessing came with a grim price. Each year, a virgin girl was sacrificed to appease the spirit of the rock. Only through this offering, they believed, would the water continue to flow. The ritual was more than tradition. It was absolute law, enforced by the king and a council of priests. To question it was to invite exile, or death. Amidst this fear-bound society lived a man called Dara, known to all as the free man, wealthy, intelligent, and fiercely independent. Dara was an enigma. He traded livestock, built ingenious contraptions, and most intriguingly, never drew water from the spirit rock. Instead, Dara and his family drank from a source known only to him and his wife, Mairead. His quiet defiance of tradition earned him both awe and resentment. Over time, whispers of envy turned into outright hostility. One sweltering summer, the high priest summoned the villagers to the base of the spirit rock. His voice, solemn and commanding, boomed across the crowd. "The spirit has spoken," he intoned. "This year, the chosen one is Fiona, daughter of Dara the free man." Gasps rippled through the gathering. Fiona, just 16, was lively and sharp, a reflection of her father. To many, this announcement felt less like divine will and more like retribution, a punishment for Dara's defiance. The royal guards stormed Dara's house that evening, their torches casting flickering shadows on the walls. But Dara was waiting for them at the threshold, unyielding and resolute. "You'll not take my daughter," he declared, his voice steady as stone. "The spirit demands her," one of the guards growled, stepping forward. Dara's eyes blazed. "Your spirit is no god," he said, his voice rising like a storm. "It's a lie built on fear and blood." The guards surged forward, determined to fulfill their grim duty, only to find the house empty. Mairead and Fiona were gone. "They've chosen the sea over your barbarity," Dara said, his voice echoing in the tense air. "Hunt them if you will, but you'll find no willing sacrifice here." Unknown to the villagers, Dara had spent years preparing for this moment. Beneath his home, he had built a hidden chamber leading to a subterranean river that flowed to the sea. Under the cover of night, the boat he'd painstakingly crafted carried Mairead and Fiona to safety. When news of their escape reached the king and the high priest, their fury was palpable. "Send ships," the king roared. "No one defies the spirit of the rock." For 3 days, the royal fleet scoured the seas, but Mairead and Fiona were nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, back in the village, panic took hold. The spirit rock's once abundant flow had slowed to a trickle. The priests, desperate to maintain control, declared it a sign of the spirit's wrath. The villagers, terrified, turned to Dara for answers. They begged, threatened, and cursed, but Dara stood his ground. "Your spirit rock has no power over truth," he told them, his voice raw with conviction. "You've built your lives on lies, and now those lies crumble around you." The final hours before the sacrifice deadline were chaotic. Villagers crowded around the spirit rock, wailing and pleading for the water's return. The priests performed frantic rituals, their chants rising to a fevered pitch. As midnight struck, the rock stood silent. The stream had dried up completely. Then, breaking the suffocating tension, came a sound, a low, deep laughter. All eyes turned to Dara, standing at the edge of the crowd, holding a jug of water. "Your spirit rock," he said, his voice cutting through the night like a blade, "did not dry because it was angry. It dried because it is not divine." Gasps rippled through the crowd. With a deliberate motion, Dara tipped the jug, spilling the water onto the dry earth. He stepped forward, placing a firm hand against the rock's base. "Watch," he said, his voice filled with quiet defiance. He reached down and pulled a hidden lever embedded in the rock. A low rumble shook the ground. Moments later, water burst forth, gushing, abundant, unstoppable. The crowd froze, their faces a mixture of awe, disbelief, and betrayal. "The spirit rock," Dara explained, his voice calm yet commanding, "is connected to underground reservoirs. I discovered this years ago. The priests exploited its natural cycles to control you, claiming the water's return as their doing." The following day, Mairead and Fiona returned to the village, unharmed. Together, they revealed the truth. Dara had spent years studying the rock. Sediment often blocked its flow, but the problem was simple to fix. No sacrifices were ever needed. The villagers, horrified by their complicity in the priests' manipulation, turned on their oppressors. The priests were driven out, and the king, exposed as complicit, was deposed. No more sacrifices, the people declared. No more lies. In the days that followed, Dara led the villagers in constructing a system to maintain the spirit rock, ensuring its water flowed freely for all. The festivals that once celebrated blood and fear were transformed into joyous celebrations of unity and knowledge. Though he remained the free man, Dara was no longer an outcast. He and his family were hailed as heroes, the ones who had shattered the chains of superstition. The spirit rock, once a symbol of dread, became a beacon of hope and liberty. And so, Éadrainn entered a new era, one where truth triumphed over fear, and the spirit rock flowed, not for sacrifice, but for the freedom and ingenuity of its people.